This is Real Estate Called Out, the podcast that the real estate industry hopes you're not listening to, but here we are. Today we're talking about pocket listings, also known as private exclusives, coming soon, off-market, whatever the heck they might be calling it this week, because this industry loves to rebrand things when people start to catch on. And here is my thesis before we even get started. It's mostly bullshit. God, I can never not swear on this thing. It's not really about you, the seller or home buyers, but about industry control and money. Just list your damn home, and I'll explain why. Unless you're knee deep in this industry, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So let's figure out what a pocket listing is. A pocket listing is when you go to sell your home, the one you hired an agent to sell doesn't immediately go to the open market for everybody to see it. Instead, it stays inside the brokerage's private network for days, or sometimes it stays just within access of only agents or some agents, which means unrepresented buyers aren't going to be able to see it. The story they told you, days on the market will hurt you. If your home sits on Zillow too long, buyers think something's wrong with it. And this way we protect you. And Compass, one of the largest brokerages in the country, turned this idea into an entire marketing identity. They called it seller choice. They filed lawsuits, they ran social media campaigns, and they positioned themselves as the heroic little guy fighting for home sellers against the evil open market. But there's a problem with that narrative, because I am chronically online to it is embarrassing. I'm beyond online. I shouldn't be. I need a life. And I have watched what sellers are actually talking about online in real time. I sit in the communities. Spoiler alert, it wasn't this. Not even close. Commission frustrations? Absolutely. Process confusion? Sure. Questions about lawsuits flying around? Yes. A widespread grassroots movement demanding a secret private listing network controlled by just one brokerage? Surprisingly, I didn't see it. So if it's not really about sellers, who's it for? When your home is kept off the open market, it's not really being protected, it's being used as bait. Those in the industry saw it. The minute the seller choice started to roll out, there were ads all over social media telling home buyers that they have exclusive homes only available if you go to our website. I can help you find them if you work with me. That was your listing driving traffic to their platform and building their database and filling their buyer pipeline. You became inventory for their marketing machine. And as a bonus, when they control the buyers, the same brokerage can end up on both sides of the transaction a whole lot more often. It's called double ending, double dipping, and it's when one brokerage is able to collect commission from both you, the seller, and the buyer. One of Compass's competitors said it plainly in an interview, that Compass wanted to keep listings off the open market so they could double end deals and boost profits. That may not be the stated goal every time, but it's the natural result of a system designed to keep everything inside one company's walls. And here's where it gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean just totally stupid. In February of 2026, Compass announced what they called a historic alliance with Rocket Companies and Redfin. Because remember, Rocket Mortgage bought Redfin. The headline, Compass listings would now be shown publicly to 60 million potential buyers. So let that sit for a second. The same CEO who spent years warning sellers that broad public exposure was dangerous is now celebrating maximum public exposure as a breakthrough for consumers. And in that press release that came out about this historic alliance, Rocket's CEO came out and says the challenge is friction in the home buying process and a lack of inventory. But that lack of inventory is something they created. They built the problem, they sold you on a solution, and now they're announcing a press release celebrating fixing it. It's like a real estate inception situation. But here's what I keep coming back to. One of Compass's main arguments for years was that Zillow hijacks your leads, sells them to random agents, and abuses listing data. And they're standing up for agents. But if that were the case, the obvious partner should have been Homes.com. Homes.com claims to route buyer inquiries directly to the listing agents and that they don't have referral fees and sell leads. That's what they claim. Just the buyer going straight to the person who knows the home. And they have spent billions, and I mean billions, trying to get consumers onto their platform. And as a side note, their shareholders are currently filing letters bitching about how much money has been spent to only end up as the number 5 portal, at least the last time I checked. Zillow was showing as first by a mile, followed by Realtor.com, then Redfin, then Trulia, who's also owned by Zillow, and then Homes.com. But instead of standing up for agents and protecting data, they chose Rocket and Redfin. The same Redfin that was routing about 40% of their buyer inquiries to partner agents who had nothing to do with the listing, didn't work at Redfin, but certainly paid around a 30% referral fee for your information. That's the exact kind of lead selling behavior Compass built an empire PR campaign around hating. And because Rocket owns Redfin, they're now partnered with Rocket. The same Rocket that is currently facing a class action lawsuit alleging they collected massive referral fees from real estate agents and required those agents to sign agreements promising not to steer clients away from Rocket Mortgage, and allegedly charged those agents a higher referral fee that comes out of the commission you pay if they didn't push Rocket hard enough to their buyer clients. So if this was really about protecting consumers and standing up for agents and watching out for referral fee abuse and lead selling, why on earth did you choose them? The common sense answer is that it was never about that. It was about who could bring the most buyers into Compass's ecosystem and attach the most financial products to your transaction on the way out. And before we give the impression or think that Compass is the lone villain here, they're not. They just happen to be the loudest and the biggest. Hanna, which is like a bigger Midwest regional broker, announced they're launching their own version of pocket listings called the HannaList. And when the local paper asked their CEO why a seller would want to do this, I need you to hear the example he chose because it's just mind-blowing. He said he has a friend, a CEO, who wants to sell his house and leave town without his partner knowing, his neighbors knowing, or even his children knowing. I'm sorry. That's the example. A CEO sneaking out of town on people. That's who we're building this parallel listing infrastructure for. Now look, like real privacy situations do exist. Domestic violence, genuine safety concerns. Maybe you're Kim Kardashian and you want some privacy. There are serious reasons for privacy, but most MLSs already had an exemption for exactly that. But Hanna is predicting that 80% of their sellers will opt into this list. 80%. You're telling me that 80% of sellers in Pittsburgh are CEOs fleeing town in secret, or is it more likely that 80% of sellers will just get defaulted into a system that keeps their listings inside the ecosystem, driving traffic to their website, generating leads for their agents, and feeding people into their mortgage and title business? Because that's what it sounds like. Because in another interview, I want you to hear what they said. Their CEO said, "I'm not being transparent in a business-to-business relationship." He was trying to argue that because the MLS is the business-to-business system, withholding your listing from it really isn't a transparency issue because you're not a business, you're a homeowner, and it's your house. And the CEO of the brokerage you just hired told a reporter he doesn't need to be transparent about where your listing goes. And there were plenty of players in this game who were all looking out for their bottom line. Zillow built its empire charging agents enormous fees to appear in your search results and using leads that your listing generated. And they spent all of last year taking a very public hard line against private listings. They announced strict listing access standards. They banned listings that weren't on the MLS. And surprise, surprise, they also positioned themselves as the hero for consumers. But just 2 weeks ago, they launched Zillow Preview, their own free marketing program, with Keller Williams, RE/MAX, Home Services of America, and within 1 week, 29 brokerages signed on, and they're currently in talks with 800 others. And here's the part that should make you laugh or cry or roll your eyes. For me, it's roll my eyes because that's all I do in this industry. Zillow is dangling a financial bonus to listing agents if a deal closes with a Zillow preferred agent. It doesn't matter what company we're talking about in this industry because the goal for all of them is identical. Capture as many pieces of your transaction as possible. The commission, the mortgage, the title, the insurance, the loan servicing for the next 30 years, you name it. And they will fight each other publicly, sue each other loudly, and then quietly build the exact same thing they're fighting against the moment it's good for business. But here's what I keep thinking about as I watch this industry make decision after decision based purely on what's best for their bottom line. As these groups all eat each other alive, buy up brokerages, and consolidate into powerhouses, at some point, the consumer harm will get big enough to warrant a government step-in. Well, probably not now. Well, especially not now, considering the people who were likely going to go after the Realtor Association and the industry working within the DOJ because lobbying money won and they lost their jobs. But we already see some states dipping their toes into this situation. States like Washington and a few others are putting bills in place to ensure that your home isn't hidden for the wrong reasons and that everyone's able to see when homes are selling. But let's just say this shit goes on for years. I wouldn't be shocked if someday one state finally gets fed up enough to step in and mandate a government-run statewide or national MLS. Just one centralized, publicly accessible listing database. No fiefdoms, no toll booths, no preferred partners. And I can already hear the industry losing their mind over that idea, which is hilarious because they're the ones who would have brought it on themselves. When you spend years proving you can't be trusted to serve consumers fairly, eventually, someone with regulatory power will notice. Do I think a government-run MLS is an ideal situation? I don't know. And that kind of consolidated power has its own risks. But when I watch 500, I think there might be like 480 at this point, MLS systems, each running their own rules, their own fees, and their own little empires, all in the name of serving local market, I can understand why the idea starts to look a little reasonable from the people watching from the outside. But let's be honest with ourselves. The lobbying power of NAR, who owns a lot of these MLSs, and the fact that majority of the government-run real estate commissions are filled with brokers and agents from these big companies will likely ensure that that never happens. Look at my state of Pennsylvania. The chairwoman of the Real Estate Commission is also the COO of Hanna. There's no conflict of interest there. That's right. The COO of Hanna, who loves pocket listings, will guide the commission meetings, oversee regulatory initiatives, and support the implementation of a statewide licensing procedures and educational requirements, reflecting a continued commitment to fostering a culture of transparency, professionalism, and confidence within the real estate industry. Would a government-run MLS happen? Who knows? Probably not in this administration's lifetime, but after years of FAFO in this industry, perhaps it could be in the future. Now, what you're going to see in the news recently as a home seller are reports, lots of studies and lots of reports. Those who like pocket listings have them, and those who hate pocket listings have them. But here's the thing about studies. And I'm going to tell you something that I learned firsthand from testifying against home equity companies at our state capitol. Studies can be bought and paid for. I watched it happen in real time. You put the right data set in front of the right researcher, and you frame the questions the right way, and you're going to get the answers you're looking for. And one of the favorite tricks in the private listing study playbooks is throwing builders into the data. Builders who are selling 50, 100 homes at a time out of a model home with a sales office and a national advertising budget. That is not the same thing as you trying to sell that one little house you own in your neighborhood. Not even close, but it muddies the numbers just enough to make the study say exactly what they needed to say. So if you're selling a home, here's what cuts through all of this bullshit. Just list it. You don't need to test it. You don't need coming soon phases. You don't need soft launches. Every day your home is not on the open market is a day you're missing buyers. Full stop. Every buyer should be able to find your home, not buyers inside one company's private network, not buyers using a specific app. Every buyer searching in your area at your price point should be able to find it from day one. And for the love of God, please talk to more than one agent at more than one brokerage. 81% of sellers contact only one agent before signing a contract. And as someone who has had to mystery shop 300 agents, please do not assume that all agents are created equal. These portals, these companies are all counting on you to not interview other people. Talk to at least 3 of them. And if you can't figure out how to find an agent that's right for you, that's what we're here for. We are happy to help you navigate this and help you find someone that's a good fit for you. We do it every week, and we'll be happy to help you too. And we don't do referral fee bullshit. You don't need a historic alliance, a seamless ecosystem. You just need a good agent, full market exposure, honest pricing, and from someone who's actually working for you. And if you're a home buyer, I want to cautiously warn you that a seamless ecosystem where you get everything from one company rarely ever works out best for you when it comes to how much you're paying. Shop and compare for everything. Title, mortgage, agent, everything. Don't just assume because something's easy and someone recommended it that it's the best choice for you. So here is where I land on all of it. They're all just messing with you to protect their own business. Every study, every press release, every historical alliance, it all comes back to the same thing. They need your listing to make money. List your damn home, put it everywhere everyone can see it, and let real buyers compete. That's it. That is your strategy. This is Real Estate Called Out, and if you found this useful, share it with someone who's about to sell a home because they need to hear this before they sign anything. We'll put links to everything that we referenced today, including the quote about the CEO who wants to skip town because it is factually correct. That's what he said. All in the show notes for you. And if you want to go deeper, we've also included a full breakdown of what we're talking about. The real estate industry hoped you weren't listening, but you did. See you next week.
Don't stumble. Big talk, bad move, my show, my rules. Tap in, stay tuned.